is on the movie. Um, and so it's a it's a very very lengthy movie, and it probably requires 2 nights of watching it. But I thought that maybe like on the 20th and 21st, we could see that movie since we're not going to be doing anything with that. And I want to tell you that um, tomorrow is Kathy Stein's birthday from Dance Moms. Um, because if she reminds me of Nancy Fuller, then and according to Google, um, tomorrow is her birthday, so she's born on the cusp of power. Speaking of that, there's a video from Genuinely Divine that you can watch on the cusp between Aries and Taurus. Um, and then on the 21st is Jeanette Wall's birthday, and we're going to maybe pay tribute to looking at the book again, seeing a couple scenes from the movie that are important and good scenes. I don't know. But let me tell you something. If I had my way, and if I was the one to make the decision, during Pisces season, we probably would have read The Glass Castle then. And I know that I'm so looking forward to later this May when the sign of Jupiter, the planet Jupiter enters Pisces. And that's going to bring about a lot of creative energy with mysticism and if you think about spirituality, it's going to be a great time to meditate, to read certain stories of people. I know, watching, a lot of very sentimental human films, if you want to call them that. I know that I'll do a lot of watch historical and kind of drama, true story type films, maybe around that time. I don't know, but definitely take advantage, particularly in June, because I think that it actually the full the real the real flavor of Jupiter in Pisces is in June. Okay. So with that said, I want to get into let's see here. Okay. So I thought that I might just see here. So let's see. I'm gonna see where we are now. So I know I put my little pencil mark in there. Okay. So so I'm going to start actually at page 56, and I'm just going to continue on from there till the end of chapter 3. And what is the title of chapter 3? Now, I attempted to read this way back in 2019, and that was before I discovered Dance Moms. Chapter 3 is Mrs. Fraser's first name in Dance Moms. So anyway, okay. Now it says, the trail reared back, a penetrating scream exploding from between rows of teeth. Dozens of gases and bottles shattered where they stood. It was too much for the poor beast. Stunned, set on fire, and now blinded, the shock and pain made their way through to its tiny brain, ordering it to shut down. The troll complied, kneeling over with almost comical stiffness. Holly rolled to avoid a scything tusk. There was complete silence, but for tinkling glass. No, because he left the invented. Crackling fur and the sudden release of breath. Holly climbed shakily to her feet. There were a lot of eyes following her, human eyes. She was 100% visible, and these humans wouldn't stay complacent for long. This breed never did. Containment was an issue. She raised her empty palms, a gesture of peace. And I don't even know how to pronounce that, she said, the language flowing easily from her tongue. The Italians, ever graceful, muttered that it was nothing. Holly reached slowly into her pocket and withdrew a small spear. She placed it in the middle of the floor. Guardate, she said. Look. The restaurant patrons complied, leaning in to see the small silver ball. It was ticking faster and faster, almost like a countdown. Holly turned her back to the spear. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Flash! Mass unconsciousness. Nothing fatal, but headaches all around in about 40 minutes. Holly sighed, safe for the moment. She ran to the door and slid the latch across. Nobody was going in or out, except through the big gasping hole in the wall. Next, she doused the smoldering troll with the contents of the restaurant's fire extinguisher, hoping the icy powder would revive the sleeping baby moth. Holly surveyed the mess she had created. There was no doubt it was in shambles. I didn't know why it says a shambles, but anyway. Worse than Hamburg root would skin her alive. She'd rather face the troll any day. This was the end of her career for sure. But suddenly that didn't seem so important because her ribs were aching. And let's see here. And she had a blinder of a pressure headache coming on. Perhaps a rest, just for a second, so she could pull herself together before revival showed up. Holly didn't even bother looking for a chair. She simply allowed her legs to buckle beneath her, sinking to the chessboard linoleum floor. So she's apparently inside this sort of house here. Walking up to Commander Root's bulging features in the stuff of nightmares. Holly's eyes flickered open, and for a second she could have sworn that there was concern in those eyes. But then it was gone, replaced by the customary vein-popping fury. Captain Short, he roared, mindless of her headache. What in the name of sanity happened here? Holly rose shakily to her feet. There was, a sentence just wouldn't come. You disobeyed a direct order. I told you to hang back. You know it's forbidden to enter a human building without an invitation. Holly shook the shadow from her vision. I got invited in. A child called for help. You're on shaky ground there, Short. There is precedent, sir. Corporal Rose versus the state. The jury ruled that the trapped woman cry for help could be accepted as an invitation into the building. Anyway, you're all here now. This means you've accepted the invitation too. said Root doubtfully. I suppose you were lucky. Things could have been worse. Holly looked around. Things could have been a lot worse. The establishment was pretty traded, and there were 40 humans out for the count. The tech boys were attacking mine with electrodes to the temples of unconscious Steiners. We managed to secure the area in spite of half the town hammering at the door. What about the hole? Root smiled. Root smirked. See for yourself. Holly glanced over Retrieval, had jimmied a hologram led into the existing electricity sockets and were projecting an unbattered wall over the hole. The holograms were handy for quick patches, but no good under scrutiny. Anyone who examined the wall too closely would have noticed that the slightly transparent patch was exactly the same as the stretch beside it. In this case, there were 2 identical patches of spider web cracks and 2 reproductions of the same Rembrandt. But the people inside the pizzeria were in no condition to examine walls, and by the time they woke up, the wall would have been repaired by the telekinetic division, and the entire paranormal existence would have been removed from their memories. A Retrieval officer bolted from the next room. Commander, yes, servant. There's a human in here, sir. The concussor didn't reach him. He's coming, sir, right now, sir. Shields, barked Root. Everyone. Holly tried. She really did, but it wouldn't come. Her magic was gone. A toddler waddled out in the bathroom. His heavy eyes with sleep. He pointed a pulsy finger directly at Holly. Ciao, Fulietta, he said, before climbing into his father's lap to continue his snooze. Root shimmered back into the visible spectrum. He was, if possible, even angrier than before. What happened to your shield short? Holly swallowed. Stress, Commander, she offered hopefully. Root wasn't having any of it. You lied to me, Captain. You're not running hot at all, are you? Holly shook her head moodily. How long since you complicated the ritual? Holly chewed her lip. I'd say about 4 years, sir. Root nearly popped a vein. 4 years? It's a wonder you've lasted this long. Do it now, tonight. You're not coming below ground again without your powers. You're a danger to yourself and your fellow officers. Yes, sir. Get a set of hummingbirds from Retrieval and zip across to the old country. There's a full moon tonight. What full moon is it, you wonder? Yes, sir. And don't think I've forgotten about the shambles. We'll talk about it when you get back. Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Holly turned to go, but Root cleared her throat for attention. Oh, said Captain Short. Yes, sir? Root's face had lost its purple tinge. She almost seemed embarrassed. Well done on the life-saving thing. Could have been worse, an awful lot worse. Holly beamed behind her visor. Perhaps she wouldn't be kicked out of Reckon after all. Thank you, sir. Root grunted, his complexion returning to its normal ruddy hue. Now get out of here, and don't come back until you're full to the tips with your ears with magic. Holly sighed. So much for gratitude. Yes, sir. on my way, sir. So, I'm sure that when you heard me read that, you thought, what a random chapter that is. And I know that you're thinking, who is this random person now in this chapter with this situation? But I'm sure that later on in the story, it will all add up to be. Okay? Maybe Artemis Fowl will meet him and then they'll become companions or, worst enemies. I don't know. But so that's just a fantasy book. It is a read aloud book. But so that's just all that I want to just do for you today. I want to take some time this morning to get in there. So everyone, I want you to go over to the rehearsal room and let's get to it. Thank you everyone for coming to this meeting. I appreciate it.